I'm here at Park Avenue, right by Stop and Shop, in front of a store named Taste of Italy. Why am I here? Because of this week's Parsha. 22 psukim into the Parsha, into Sefer Devarim, Moshe's soliloquy goodbye to Am Yisrael. He talks about the Meraglim, the story of the Meraglim, the story of the scouts that were sent out. And what's interesting is the story that is told in Parshas Devarim is a little different than the story we read in Shlach a month and a half or so ago. And it's interesting to look at the differences and how the rabbis interpret and understand those differences. The story and the tragedy of the Meraglim, when the Jewish people believed the slander of the 10 scouts, and it caused them not to enter the land and only the next generation would go in, happened on the 9th of Av. What also happened on the 9th of Av was the Churban Bayis Rishon by the Babylonians and the Churban Bayis Sheni by the Romans. And much of the history that we have today, it's more recent, is the story in the Talmud, the story in Josephus of the Roman conquering of Jerusalem. And especially if you go to Rome today, you can see some of those remnants, and we don't even know what's in the Vatican, what's there, and some of the things that we don't know where they are. There's a famous story told of Rabbi Yosef Kahanman, known as the Panovich Rav. There was a Rav in Panovich, Europe, and then he came and he saw a mountaintop in Bnei Brak. He said, I'm going to rebuild the yeshiva, and he indeed did build the yeshiva. And Panovich is one of the great yeshivas in the world today in Bnei Brak. And the Panovich Rav, the story goes, he was in Rome one day. He walks into the Arch of Titus. And the Arch of Titus, the Jewish community never walked through it since the Churban, since the time of the destruction, when the Jews were brought to Rome. They never walked under the Arch of Titus because it depicts the carrying of the menorah into Rome as a conquest. And Rav Kahneman went either near the Arch of Titus, or maybe at this point he went under it. I was told that the Jewish community went in 1948, when the Israel was established for the first time in thousands of years. They walked under and into the arch, so maybe it was afterwards. And Rav Kahneman walks in and he says, "Titus," and he's screaming in Yiddish, "Titus, you think that you were so victorious? Look, you're celebrating this victory. Titus, you're nobody. You're a remnant. You're part of history. But look, there's a state of Israel, the Am Yisrael Chai. The Jewish people are alive." People have even written at some points, and they shouldn't do this, of course, graffiti in the Arch of Titus, Am Yisrael Chai. You can walk in with an Israeli passport today, with a vibrant Jewish community and Jewish state, and see the remnants of the great Roman Empire that no longer exist. This is part of the Musar of the Jewish people. A fire is starting in one place, and it leads to something positive in another place. One place might be destroyed, but it builds and lays the seeds and the foundation for another place. And that is really some of the story of Tisha B'Av for us. Unfortunately, Simchas Torah was Tisha B'Av, and many have said we hope that Tisha B'Av this year will be Simchas Torah. There's a lot of tension and anxiety over what's going on in Israel today, and we should know that the Romans that destroyed the Second Temple are in the dustbin of history. The Babylonians that destroyed the first one are in the dustbin of history. Italy is a lovely country, but Am Yisrael Chai. Should get through this Tisha B'Av. It should be a simcha. We should never have to read the Kinnos again, and it should be something that we remember from an older time and enter a period of simcha, a period of redemption for all of Am Yisrael.